I'm Jody Feldhus, and I'm actually from Hutchinson, Kansas. I'm the children's ministry director there, and I'm in charge of from nursery through 6th grade. And we're a medium-sized church. We went around 350. And so the things you see today are stuff that we've done. We recently had a total remodel of our children's ministry. We have the catacombs. I don't know if any of you have those at your churches where, like, you have to go through another room to get to another Sunday school class. It was like 3 buildings stuck together. Hey, let's use them for children's ministry, and that's what we got. And so our pastor has a really big vision for children's ministry, and it was his desire that we really knock it out for kids ministry. So we went in and cleaned the whole church, the whole classroom areas out from end to end, and totally redid our children's ministry. So it was really cool. The bad part was we spent a lot of money and we didn't have a lot left for design. So that's what this class comes in. We learned how to make a really cool children's area very easily. Took a lot of volunteer time and labor, but it was done very cheaply, but it looks really cool. As you know, classrooms in the past have been pretty boring and dull. I don't know if you, growing up through Baptist church through my whole life, we always had all the maps on the walls and the stickers and things like that. But it was like white walls. At our church we call it West Side White because everything's painted that color. And that's what we had to all through the church. And we wanted to get away from that. And so this is kind of what we did. And I hope that you guys can get some good ideas from it. Like I said, the past classrooms have all been functional, no personality generally. You might have a poster or two up on the wall, but it's generally pretty boring. But classrooms of the future, you really need to look forward, because what we need to really work for is not only functional, but fun and media-driven. And that's really where today's classrooms are. The more media-driven stuff you can get, the better. The more fun, it's even better. You don't want to, we're not trying to theme the kids to death so they want to come to the theme park, but we want it to keep their attention, to make them feel excited about being there. And I think that's what we've done with our children's ministry. We try to keep a good balance of having it functional, yet having it lots of fun too, so the kids are always excited to come and to be there. It's really hard to know where do you start? Research. That's where I started. I sat in front of my computer and started looking. The only directive I was given was, I want the wow factor, Jody. It's like, well, what does that mean? So I started looking and I started researching. I looked online and found other churches, looked at their websites and pictures on their websites. I found a site called Creative Kids, and on the back, don't worry about getting all these things. The very last page is full of all the websites in place where you can reach this stuff. So don't worry about trying to take those down. But Creative for Kids was a really great place because they had on that website pictures of people who did just exactly this, go through the process of making their own walls. They didn't have designers come in and do it for them, but they did it themselves. And that's what we needed to do, is to do it ourselves. And so I researched that, I looked all over, and the big thing was, well, what do we want to do? You know, there's so many options out there. So we looked through that. Another thing we did, church tours was the first thing. We went, and we live in a smaller town, about 40,000 people. There was one church that had a pretty nice sized children's area. We went and looked at theirs. But then we went to Wichita, which is a quite larger city, and went and visited. We went to Christian churches and Bible churches, all kinds of different churches. I called up beforehand, made an appointment with their children's pastor or director, and we took some of our teachers and some of our pastors and went and did church tours one day. And it was really fun. It was like if you went last night to James River with us. It's amazing, isn't it? You see things, you're like, we could do that. And that's what we did. We took notes, we took pictures. It's like we saw these cool ideas and we decided to see how we can implement this in our church. So it was that easy. We went through and looked at all of those, surfed the web, and then we sat down and brainstormed. What were our needs? What did we really want to gain from these sites? I mean, did we want them just to be fun? Did we want them to be more classroom settings? What did we really want for those sites? So we really brainstormed with the ministry team to see what our specific needs were. So and then last, you need to by yourself or whoever your group is that you work closely with, is to sit down and make a list of your needs and your wants in your dream facility. There were a lot of things that we really would have loved to have, but they weren't practical. And you had to figure out where the balance was of what was practical and what was really realistic that you could do. And we found that we could do a lot more than we really thought we could. It was really quite amazing. The next thing you need to do is choose your theme or your style. We went with a Kids Town theme through most of ours. The majority of our stuff is Kids Town. But I kind of thought it would be fun to have it more stylized. So when you come into our children's area, it's nurseries and toddlers area first, and then it flows into preschool and some of the areas you go down the hallway to. So we started with like you're out in the country and made it like you're traveling from the country, go through the country, and then you end up into the Kids Town, the city. And so I wanted to make it like a story that you were walking through, so that you felt like you were really going someplace cool. We have signs on the walls that point to where they're supposed to go, things like that. So we really wanted it to feel like they were in a whole different place, their own country. And so that's where Kids Town was established. But so we picked that out. I then drew a simple layout of what I kind of envisioned, and I think that should come out of there.
It's on like the next slide, I think.
What?
It's on the next slide.
Okay. So draw out a simple layout of what you want your area to look like. Okay, I see I'm behind my slides. Decide which walls you want to paint with murals, and decide which walls you just want to add highlights, colors to. Now in some classrooms, you're not going to want to have a huge mural, because you're going to want to have space, so you can't put up posters or whatever projects the kids are working on. You want to have room for that, so don't take up all your wall space in your actual classrooms. That can be a mistake as well. But even if all you want to do is paint one wall, you can't believe the difference that makes. Paint a bright blue wall, and it's just like, whoa, happy post-it goes way up. It's really cool. Just even that small little thing, it's a good place to start. Do one wall or two walls. In some rooms we have wall, like a blue wall and a yellow wall, and then white on the other one, so there's room for things. So we just did some simple things like that too. We didn't go all out in all the rooms, but we tried to brighten every room up with some color. So that's really an important thing. The next thing is have a basic game plan in place so that you can adequately convey your vision to the rest of your team. If you can't explain to them what you're trying to accomplish, they're not going to get on board as easily. So what I did was I did a simple layout so that people could see. I think I had, did you put that up there already? And I mean, I'm obviously not a good artist, and not one of my qualities, but you can see it's just a very basic drawing of this is where we kind of want the buildings, and this is kind of where we want the park area, and things like that. So it's very simple, but then they could kind of get an idea of where we are going with that, and so that really helps them to visualize a little bit and see where you're wanting to go with it. The next thing is, who do I get to help? That was the really big thing, because just like, this is going to be a massive project. Ours was a massive project. You may not want to start out like we did, having to do the entire children's ministry, take on a hallway or a classroom, start small if you can. We had to do the entire thing because it was all brand new and it was all just very basic. So we had the entire thing to do. So it was pretty big, a pretty big project. But at first I found somebody to be kind of the artistic director. We had a missionary in our church actually who is an art school graduate, and she was back and forth from time to time. So I would confer with her. She wasn't there all the time, but I would talk with her and run ideas by her and get her opinions. And then when we got into the painting phase, she helped us a lot with doing highlighting and things like that. I also found a really good volunteer coordinator. Some of these jobs you might be that person. You might be the volunteer coordinator or the artistic director. I mean, it doesn't mean that you can't be those people, but it helps the more people you have drawn in. And I had a lady who's a great organizer, and she's a scrapbooker, and so she could see how the project should be. And those are some of the greatest people to get involved, scrapbookers, because the process they do putting a scrapbook page together is very similar to what we were doing by putting the walls together. So get your artistic director and a volunteer coordinator picked out if you can, or decide who's going to be in charge of those things. And find, like I said, find the right person for the right job. Scrapbookers, great planners. They're usually really organized, they can see the whole project and divide it up into smaller pieces. Excuse me, my voice is really, because it can be very overwhelming. I was just, when we saw the massiveness of what we had ahead of us, I thought, this is gonna take years. And it took us 12 weeks, from start to finish, 12 weeks. And we had, during the project, probably about 50 volunteers on and off in different areas. We had about 5 or 6 ladies that they just decided that was their job, and they would come every day from about 9 to 3 if they were available and paint. And that's how it got done. It was totally volunteers. We had no paid help coming in, nothing. It was all volunteer. So, anyway, so get the right people. The other artistic people in your church, they do all the detail work, and we tried to make sure we teamed people up in areas where they were best used. You don't want the really good artsy person painting the blue for the sky. Give that to the 14-year-old that likes to be on the ladder, and thinks it's fun. You can, find the right person for the job, and don't waste your talent. Keep them busy doing the things that they love so they don't get bored too. So, sometimes the artistic people I found had a really hard time being really organized because they were, more concerned about all the detail of stuff. And so that was why it was helpful to have somebody that balanced that person out to kind of say, okay, we're going to do this section today. What do we need to do? And they would get it laid out together, and then we could go and paint it and do what we needed to do. The third type of people is anyone who likes to paint walls, a handyman, a handy woman, anybody who is just who's willing and able. And there's a lot of jobs for people like that. We had several different things where we just had an all-church thing. We were going to paint tonight. If you can come paint. And they did. And we had husbands come and help their wives, and had kids, teenagers. We had some little kids even that wanted to paint. We gave them little paintbrushes. Okay, paint right here, so that they could be a part of it. It was really fun because it's like, I painted this. And we didn't tell them we probably had to go back and paint it over again, but they got to be part of it, and that was really important. So get as many people involved as you can, and because there's a lot of work, that a lot of people can do. There's the big areas. Anybody can paint a big area. And then when you have the smaller areas, the more detailed work. I thought I was a detailed painter, but apparently my volunteer coordinator told me I was not. I was a big space person, so now I know that I'm not a detailed person. Really broke my heart. But anyway, so you need somebody who can assess people and say, okay, you need to be in this file, you need to be in there. You might be really surprised, even I was talking about the artistic people, you might be really surprised how many people you have with hidden talent in your church. We found 2 people who did airbrush painting. We found, like I said, our missionary who was an art school graduate, and we found a whole bunch of people that used to do toll painting. And those toll painter ladies are wicked good. They're very good with detail. So if anybody who's had any experience painting at all, you grab those people and put them to work because they're very good. Okay, so how do you put it all together? Oh, I skipped one, didn't I? The more people you get involved, the more excitement that you will build. It gives all of them a sense of ownership, and it's really cool to see now when the kids come in and say, oh, I helped with this. My son did all the sidewalks. He got on a scooter and scooted around with a roller of paint. He was really a fine painter, and but he's proud of those sidewalks because he put those sidewalks there. And so it really does give them a sense of ownership, and it gets them excited to bring their friends. You can't believe how many people they'll call and say, hey, my friend's in town, can I bring them through? Yeah, bring them. If they bring people in, we've got a lot of people who just came in to see the new paint job. So it was really exciting. We got a lot of benefit out of that, and really gets them excited. Everybody excited about doing it. So, and then many hands make the job go quicker. It really, like I said, 12 weeks for us from start to finish, and it was a huge project. So, how do you put it together? The biggest thing is to promote from the platform. If you have the backing of your pastor, it's huge. You get up and make some announcements, make a silly commercial or something, and run it if you have that capability. Just get people excited about it, get them wanting to help you, and you can and if they understand that they don't have to be a wonderful painter, they're going to be more apt to help. So make sure you make it really clear. You don't have to be an artist. We just need people who can help paint. Excuse me. And also get volunteer sign-up sheets going. That's what we did. We ran commercials or did some promo work, and we had volunteer sign-up sheets. And then I went back through and I would call them and ask them, you know, what do you like to do? What experience do you have? You know, so we kind of knew where to put them as far as teams go. Make sure, you know, get your volunteer coordinator and your art coordinator lined up. I must see, call directly the people you know that have skills you need. There's some people that think they have no talent. And you know what those people are. They think, oh no, I can't do that. And then you say, could you, draw this for me? Oh yeah. And it's like something of magnificent, oh, it's really trash. I don't know why you even want that. You know, that kind of person, they don't know the talent that they have, but you know the talent is hidden there. So grab those people, and it's really cool to see. I think they get amazed at themselves, excuse me, at what they can do. I'm sorry, I have to take a drink. I got a cold just for this. I just thought it was good timing always. All right. Let's see where I'm at. All right. Promote from the platform, volunteer sign-up sheets, call the people directly that you know have the skills you want. Choose your volunteer coordinator and art coordinator. Divide up your teams. Like I said, when you're talking to them, kind of get an idea of who belongs in what area so you know how to direct them. And then as they start out like me, they'll find out, oh no, she really isn't on that team. She should be on the other team. So they gave me a bigger paintbrush and said, go paint the sky. So I did that. But anyway, so just get those divided up. And the biggest thing is delegate. Don't try to do it all yourself because it's really hard, unless it's a smaller job. If it's a smaller job, it's not as big of a deal if you handle most of the detail. But if it's a large-scale job, be sure you have other people helping you. Don't try to do it all, or you will lose your mind. How to make it happen. So choose your method. The things that we did were transparencies, as simple as old overhead transparencies. I got online and found, this is from Creative for Kids, and you just order packets of different transparencies that are already done. And these were a little bit costly, but you can buy smaller packs or big packs, but they have all kinds of different things on them, and they have all kinds of different themes. This was just the theme that we chose. There's another one, we got a big pack and we didn't use this one, but there's just all kinds of different things, and they have, this is what we predominantly used, had all the windows and doors. We could decide how big we wanted our buildings, that was not the big deal, but when you wanted to make the doors and windows look a certain way, we wanted a real comical kind of look. And so we used a lot of the different things that they had in this packet. They had doors and windows and bricks and things like that. So that all came in this way. And another thing we found that was really helpful was in some of our areas we wanted to do, I'm trying to see what I have up there. Oh, this is one of the ones that we did. We made some of our own transparencies because some of our classrooms we wanted themed a particular way, and we didn't really like what they had. And so I found pictures on the internet. Some of them were coloring pages. Some of them were from books. This is one, it was in color, but I black and whited it. Then I turned it into a transparency. And some of them were a little bit light, so I would just go over them with Sharpie, slop them on the put it up there, and that's what we did. This was actually a thank you note card, and I loved it. But some of the colors and stuff we didn't like, so we changed a few things. And the rule of law is you can use anything as long as you change it a little bit, then you're not breaking any laws. So we wanted to be on land, so we made the door open. They had a purple hippo, which I thought was really gross and disgusting, so we painted it gray. And several different things. We changed it up how we wanted it. And actually, we think ours is cuter than theirs. Anyway, so how expensive is that? Run your own. We did quite a few of those. This is another one we did. This is in our toddler room. This was the original. I found there's a mural company that's online. And I was looking through their murals, and I saw one similar to this. Then I went to, this is actually from a children's book, and I went and found a cover of the children's book that I really liked. And then so we penciled it on the wall, started, and this is just partially painted, so you can see this is the finished product. It's kind of, you can't see the colors as vibrant on here, it's kind of rough, but, and I was telling you about my great artwork. We knew we wanted it bigger than that, because that room is really large, and we wanted the whole wall covered. So the picture didn't cover the wall, so I colored my own. See, I'm a really good artist. But so just gave them, the ladies, an idea of what I wanted. And this is one of the detail people did these jobs. We have transparency for parts of it, but not for all of it. So our ladies just carried on the lines through and did it themselves. And they did a beautiful job, much better than my picture. Thank the Lord. It's pretty bad. Anyway, so it's really that simple. It seems like it would be hard. Also in these packets, they give you color sheets. So if you want to do it the colors that they have in there, they have all the colors listed. And so that it's easy to just go, if you want to buy their colors and do it. We changed up our colors and from what they had. That's easy. Those are really easy. You can look at those if anybody wants to at the end of the class. Another thing that you might do is stencils, or we did that part. Stencils, and we did, on some of our smaller projects in our nursery, the ladies decided they wanted to do a quilt wall. And they painted it. It looks like wallpaper. It's just beautiful. I wish I had a better, I wish you could really see this better. It's just absolutely beautiful. But they used stamps, just color stamps, and did stuff. Stamps and stencils. They had on these ABCs and 1, 2, 3s running through these. And just all different stamps. And then when it was all done, they got Sharpies and went and made the stitching all around, so it looked like it's really beautiful. I wish it was a little bit better picture there for you to see. But that was really a fun one. That was one of those projects that took on a life of its own. It was only supposed to be one small wall, but they loved it so much they took it all the way through the nursery. It took a long time, but they did it. They said, we're committed to this. We want it done. We're going to do it. So I said, okay, have at it. So it was a big project, but they finished it, and it's really worth it. Another thing you can do is the pre-made wall stickers. Up here, I don't know if you can see, it says Lullaby Bay. This is another one of the pictures that we put up there. We made our own transparency, and painted that one. Our artist lady helped with the bigger murals like this. She came in and touched them up and made them really, really nice. But we bought these, and they're just the rub-on-wall letters. And then we found out that we could do it just about as good with our transparencies. So after we did that, we just started doing our own transparencies and did our own lettering. And that way we could get any kind of lettering we wanted. Go to defont.com and pick out the lettering we want. And it worked just as well if you have somebody that's really good at detail. If not, by the lettering. The next thing is choose and purchasing your paint colors. This is really important. If you're doing a big project, it's good to get a lot of base colors. And start from there. I'm jumping ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Make sure you know how much paint you need to. Okay, the good thing to do is to measure out your walls and then take it in and ask your paint guys how much you need. They'll let you know. I'm not sure what our time is on this because we started late. All right. Next thing you need to do is prep your walls and measure out your space. Make sure you fill in any holes. If you have scuff marks on your walls, I'm sure you do because we do everywhere. Kids decided to be really fun to see if they can run down the walls. Make sure you get those all painted over first and fill in any holes and use base paint if you need to. Start with a real clean surface. And you can paint murals. We painted probably the majority of our murals are on center block walls. And it really does turn out okay. If you have really bad lumpy ones, there's a special paint you can buy that kind of fills in a little bit. We did some of that on it since it was brand new. If you've had cement walls painted over for like 50 years, I think they'll be fine. Be pretty filled in by them. The next thing is to draw it out first and make changes before you paint. Did I skip one? Okay. Prep your walls, we didn't get that out there. Measure out your space, fill in any holes. Did you guys get that one? Okay. make sure you draw it out first, because if you don't, you'll be sorry. You just say, okay, we're gonna do it here, let's put this here. Make sure you draw it out first. We separated ours with like masking tape. We kind of masked it out where we want it, and kind of made a simple drawing of where we wanted everything on our buildings. Because we set up a whole town, and so we wanted buildings of different sizes in different areas, and so we kind of set up how big we wanted each building for and how much space everything to cover. You can change that as you go along. It's not a big deal, but it's really helpful to have a basic layout before you start. Really important. If you learn nothing else from me, learn this: do not use Sharpies to trace. We had one lovely lady, an older lady, that started doing it with Sharpie. She did the arc one, a lot of the detail was Sharpie, because she could see it better to paint when she went back to paint. But when we had to go back and make some changes on that, it took tons and tons and tons of paint to cover up the Sharpie that kept bleeding through. And it messed up the picture where we just had to paint over it. We killed several times before we could fix it. So please learn from our mistakes. Don't use Sharpies until you're all done, and then sharpen away. Anyway, that was a real big one. Okay, the next one is paint. Get your detail team paints lined up and your non-detail people lined up and get started. We would trace on parts of it and then have them do it. We didn't do all the trace. We'd trace out a section, paint it, trace out another section, do it. That's kind of how we progress through ours. And if you can see the lines on here of it's a little bit light, but all the tracing out done here, and then here's the finished product of what it looks like. Just I'm gonna call your attention to this now because I'll talk about it later. This is a post sticking out in the wall. And it's like, what do you do with those things? Well, we turned it into a flagpole and hung a real flag, so it really gives it a 3D effect. It was really cool. We have our Awana in that, so it works really good. We have our flag up there, so when we do our pledge to the flag for Awana, it's already up there. So that was kind of a cool thing. Make sure you do have somebody in charge of it, because the way it worked with us, they would do it, then I would come back through and make any changes that I thought, something wasn't quite right, or I thought maybe we needed to add a little. I'm not an expert by any means, but I'm one of those, I kind of know what I want, and I knew if it wasn't quite right. I wasn't overly, I did not try to be overly picky, but there are a few things that somebody needs to be in charge of and say, we need to fix this, or this isn't quite right, we can't leave it this way. Because once it's done, you can't really change it. You need to change it while you're working on it. So then we would go back and do some of the highlighting and things on it. Afterwards, then the detail team would come through and do the highlights. So get the detail team, paint in the transparency pictures, and the non-detail team paint the large areas of colors, the sky, grass, all those things. And we did have them also do some of the buildings, some of the bigger areas on the building. They could do stuff like that as long as it wasn't, if you have the lines there, if you can color in the lines, you could do it. It's not that hard. So, but then we would have the artists do all the more detailed work. They would go in and do some shading and different things like that. So the toll painter ladies were great for that. We have a parkway in it, and they went through and put flowers, and they made a pathway, and we added some people. It was really funny because the people ended up looking like people in our church, so we called them all, oh look, there's Jim selling the hot dogs, and there's, it's really fun. So we named them all. It's kind of strange, but anyway. Another thing we did, which was really cool, we have Kids Town, which is the main area, and that's where we also have, our Awana circle and things like that. But we made that like a town square, and in the different buildings, we named them, many of them after people who were influential in our church. Like our song director, who had been there for over 35 years. So we named the music store after him. And some of our founding pastor, we named the pet store after him. Just our pastor, who loves Mexican food beyond all things, we made Tim's Taco Hut. And so he has his, we surprised him with that. He was not looking forward to that, but there's a big mouse on it with fajitas and all kinds. It's really funny. So anyway, but the naming was fun. So you can add a lot of humor in it and do some things that really makes it yours. We just really had a good time with that part of it. Getting to the final finish of it, have your artist do all the highlighting and shading, anything like that. Make sure you have it like you want it before you do the finishing touches on it, because you'll want to finish it with a clear coat glaze. If you don't, everything you've done is for naught, because it will just chip off and paint off. It'll come off real easily, and you don't want to mess with that. So when you have it just like you want it, go back over. We had a big glaze party, and we had the pastors down there. It made it look like they really worked hard, you know. They got in all the pictures. All they did was glaze it. They didn't do all the hard stuff. Well, everybody's giving them a hard time because they looked like they really worked hard. So, but yeah, we had a big glazing party. People just came and we glazed all the walls, and because that's easy, just cover the whole thing. And if you don't, it really is bad. It's held up really well. We've had it for a year now, and the only place we've had any peeling paint is we stuck corner pieces on, clear corner pieces to keep the edges. Somebody yanked one of those off and pulled part of the paint off with it. That's the only really injury we've had to it. So, which is pretty lucky because we run a lot of kids through there, and it stayed really nice. So, anyway, so that's the most important thing. Do not forget to seal it. After that, for finishing touches, take it up a notch. We decided it'd be fun to add a few other things. So, our girls' bathroom in our big kids' town area, we have a boys' and a girls' bathroom. That was one of the things I really wanted in each area, to have a bathroom. So we don't have kids running out down the hallways going to the bathroom periodically. We wanted for the safety factor of keeping them in. So we have bathrooms right in our big kids' town area. The girls' bathroom is a beauty shop, and so we went to our local Peel's Hair Supply and asked them if they had any old chairs they'd sell us. And they gave us some chairs. So we have dryer chairs, and they really work. It's really cool. Sometimes I just go put my head in there and turn it on heat and cry. You know. And we have a park bench, and we painted on detail here. We have a bulletin board, and we made a sign it so it's like a sign on the shop. On the other side over here, which you can't see, we have boys' bathroom, which is a gas station. And we have a big gas pump on. Somebody said, "You really want me to paint this?" Because I handed them the gas pump, and I said, "This is what I want right here." They said, "Are you serious?" And I said, "Yeah, I really want a gas pump on the gas station." And so we have a gas pump and some seating around there too. So you just make it fun. Another thing we did, this is the courthouse. It's kind of hard to see. But we did a verse across here. Enter his courts with thanksgiving and into his, I can't say the verse now. Anyway, enter his courts with praise. And so it was really cool. So we put some, and we put in established in 2009 on a thing. And so we just, and those are entrances into some other classrooms right there. So just take it up a few notches with the finishings. Another thing you can do is, like I said, oh yeah, the guys in there. We had twins, and we had two of them, so two chairs, so they decided to put them. Another thing we did is kind of hard to see down here. This is our craft store, and we put a big spool. We just got a cable spool and then wrapped some yellow cording around it and stuck that on. It's hard to see, and there's also a needle that's sticking through it, so it looks like a big needle and thread. There's the bank right there. So we did a few things like that to try to make the pictures pop out a little bit, and that's always fun. It really just kind of gives it a little more fun. Another thing we did in the hallways, we also had some of those big poles in the halls, and we can turn them into trees. And we did that also in Kids Town too. We have a park area, and we have a real big tree. And one of the guys was joking about squirrels, so the girls painted a squirrel and named the squirrel after him. And so there's a lot of fun little things in there that nobody knows but the people who painted, which is really fun too. So that's some of the other things we did. After that, let's see, where were we at? Add furnishings to enhance decor. Donated items help a lot, make settings dimensional. And then have a thank you party for all your workers. We did this, and that was a lot of fun. We got everybody together. The ladies all took pictures all the way through. So they brought their pictures. I made a PowerPoint. We had that running, and it was really fun. We passed around the pictures, and we had barbecue and just really rejoiced in the things being all done and what we had accomplished, because it was just, we were all amazed at how good it turned out, because it was like, when you start something like this, you think, is it going to turn out really cheesy? Are we going to be sorry we tried this? And we were so happy that we did it. It turned out even better than we could ever have imagined, and it was so easy. I mean, it was a lot of work, but it was a lot easier than we thought. It just seemed like a huge thing. Another thing, excuse me, so have pictures, bring pictures they've taken, do a PowerPoint slideshow, celebrate the victory, and then have a big grand opening at the end of it. Invite people from all over the city. We invited all kinds of people in. We invited all the people who painted to come and to bring their friends and family so they could show off what they've done. And that was big. We had a huge grand opening. Lots of people came in, just showed off the facility. We had the pastors meet everybody at the door, and they would take them through on tours, and that was really cool. And but we just had a really great day. Workers invited all their friends. And the community, we had a lot of people from the community that knew we were doing this. We had a lot of the guys who helped with the building itself come in, because they knew what we were doing. They were still in there working, finishing up last minute projects and stuff. And they were all, the guys, the building crew would come in. We didn't even know these guys. And they were like, is it okay if we bring our family to show what you guys did? So we had a lot of people that were not really connected to our church, that even through the building crew, that came in. And we have one of those guys that still comes now and brings us kids. So it was a strange way to minister and reach somebody, but it worked too. So that was really cool. Anyway, in summary, I guess, it's something that you can do. And I think we were so frightened to try. But once we just jumped in and did it, it was a lot easier. I mean, yes, it is a lot of work, and you have to get some organization done. But anybody can do it. And it doesn't have to cost anything. You can buy these, or you can make your own. And if you don't have the capabilities at your church to make transparencies, you can go to the library, probably any coffee store. You can take a picture, say, turn this into a transparency, slap it up on the wall, and you just try it. Even one small area, you'll be amazed at what you can do, because you really can do this. So I hope you will try at least one room, paint something blue or green or yellow and bright, and give it a try. And you just see it. The coolest thing of all was on our grand opening, we had kids. And I stood at the door particularly because I just wanted to see. They came through and it was just like, and I told them, I said, I think we got wow. and we did. It was really exciting. I was in tears watching them come through because they were just so excited to see it. And it's just, we had lots of people say, my kids really want to come back. They really like it here. And it's like, you know, having all those things doesn't make your ministry, but it enhances it. And that's just a thing to get them in the door. But you have to do the work beyond that. But it really does help, and it really can make a difference in the attitude and the excitement level in your group. So I hope you'll give it a try. Does anybody have any questions?
What would be a suggestion you would have for someone who doesn't have their own building, who has to bring, stuff to decorate,
Something I saw last night at James River that was really cool was, I don't know if you noticed in one of their pulpit areas, they had real long plastic pipe tubing with hangings from that, and they were just like shower curtain type things, and they painted on those, and they just hung them up. So that's something that you could transport. You could make just a freestanding thing out of PVC pipe and hang those back there, and it would make a really quick, cute platform. They had a lot of really good ideas. They were making fun of me last night. I was walking around and touching everything and thumping it, and my nephew said, "Are you going to lick something?" No! He said, "Quit!" I think that was embarrassing him, I'm not sure. But it was really cool. I saw a few things that I want to try that they had. And that's one of the things when you do on the church tours, you can see stuff and it's like, you know what? I could do that. If you get up close and really look at stuff, it was really interesting to see there. They had a lot of the earlier stuff that they had was a lot of the painting, the airbrush painted stuff. But later on, I don't know if you noticed, it was real brassy and in your face almost a little bit at first, some of the stuff on the wall, and then it got really softer, and you can see the difference in the artists. And their second artist that went through on their second build was a lot more like what we did. It's a little bit more calm, it's not quite so in your face. And those other things were really cool, but honestly, they would have scared, I think, 2-year-olds, some of them. So, and then I think they realized that and went with the softer stuff. But all that stuff she did in the hallways, they just went like this with the thing and painted it in. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw that. They just, it's like, you can do that. Okay, we're gonna make it look like this, and then paint it in. That's all they did. It's that easy to add color. The hallways I thought were really cool. I really liked their hallways. They had a lot of color, and but very easily stuff you could do, just shapes and color on the wall, and that really brightened it up.
What do your floors look like? What do you have for your floors?
We have carpet. I tried to talk them into, I love the cement that they had over there. I tried to talk them into that, and they said it would be too loud. So they didn't want 100 kids thumping down those aisles and rattling the walls, so they put carpet in. The thing I really wanted that we didn't get, we were on a real budget crunch at that point, and so we had to get the carpet that everybody else, they had everywhere else in the church. I really wanted was black carpet with the yellow stripes, so it looked like a road going down, but someday. When I win the lottery. Anybody else have any other questions? All right, if I skip something or whatever, want to fill in a blank, I'll be glad to tell you what it is. Also, I have up here, if you want to look at these transparencies, I have all these up here. This is something I got offline. It was one of the things that got me going on what I wanted to do. And that's what I did. I copied them and put pictures, and I put a book together, kind of what I was thinking. And when I thought, oh, I don't want this, I toss it out and I keep the ones and kind of go down to what it was I really wanted to find out. But we have books here with all the pictures, and they're, Mandy, if you want to put that thing back at the PowerPoint, with all the project on there, you can watch that if you want till, I don't know what time we're supposed to be done, so.
10:30.
Okay.
I mean, you said you have till 10:30.
Okay, well, it's 10:30, not quite, it's 10:26, so you have 4 minutes. You can run away, or you can watch, or you can please, so.